This is The Weekly Set, an official podcast of TheTotalScreen.com.
I wish I was the monster you think I am.
You have come here to beseech me?
Yes, for your soul.
Madness can be a medicine for the modern world.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Weekly Set, the official podcast of The Total Screen. I'm your host. My name is Tyson, and joining me today, as always, is my partner in crime here at The Total Screen, William Rohrig.
Hello.
Today, we are going to be talking about Season 3 of Cobra Kai. We are recording this podcast on January 18th, 2021, and this is episode 287 of the podcast. So this is, we're coming up to an end. We've kind of hinted at before, but we're officially ending this podcast with episode 300. We got one more break before that's over. We're covering 3 shows, including Cobra Kai, before we end this series out. And then we're going to be starting up our new podcast, which is probably going to be on the same podcast RSS just for the sake of simplicity. I'll just do that so it'll just convert over so we don't have to set up a new one and everything. But keep a lookout for that. That's going to be our new podcast that we are still kind of getting finalized. We're still kind of working out of the details on. But until then, we still have a few episodes of this ongoing podcast left, and that includes today's episode, which, as I said, we're going to be discussing Season 3 of Cobra Kai. So, first things first, this was a YouTube premium show that suddenly got dumped onto Netflix, the old seasons, and it was crazy to see how, like, the interest in the series just spiked.
Yeah.
Like, nobody was watching this.
Well, nobody wanted to subscribe to YouTube Red, and can you blame them?
I think people didn't even know it existed until it showed up on Netflix.
It existed on a service nobody had. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean,
we got them through. I think we watched them for.
It's like a Quibi,
and stuff. Yeah,
the show could have been on Quibi. It would have been the same thing. Nobody would have cared. Now, if it's on Netflix, something that has millions upon millions of subscribers, is the leading streaming service in the world. People are gonna watch it because it's a new show on Netflix.
But it's crazy how it's not just that people like decided like I'm not gonna pay for some other streaming service to watch it. It's like it didn't even blip their radars.
I mean, I watched the first season when I got like the free trial for YouTube Red.
Yeah.
I took the free trial just to watch that first season, and then I didn't watch the second season because I no longer had YouTube Red, and I was just like, nah, I'm not. I watched they made the first episode of the second season free, and I watched that, but I was like, yeah, I'll wait till like this becomes free to watch somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
or available in some other way.
Yeah. Of course, like I took my sweet ass time. I just finished season 2 this month. Like I had to like marathon it, like to get through it and to get through like season 3 in time for this podcast. So I was like, oops, I waited too long.
I didn't realize that we didn't cover season 2. That's crazy.
No, we did not. We didn't watch. I didn't watch season 2. So
for some reason I thought we covered it. I guess we didn't. Yeah.
No. Yeah. That would have been news to me. I must have been absent for that podcast.
So this is a prime example of the Netflix effect. Another one that we talked about as being something that should have had the Netflix effect that didn't also happen this year with Hannibal. Hannibal hit Netflix and all of a sudden it was trending. It's like that show ended like 3 years ago.
Right? Now they're making that stupid Clarice show. Like anybody like...
Oh, God.
Yeah, God. Yeah. I was like, it's no for me.
I think that might actually we might have to stomach the first episode because that might be an interesting topic on the next one to tear it apart. And
I guess,
I
guess I'll watch it. It's not going to be good.
Yeah. And I know nothing to say to watch the whole thing, obviously. Just to watch the first episode.
People will probably say, oh, well, it's unfair to compare it to Hannibal. No, it wouldn't be unfair to compare it to Hannibal because it's dealing with the same source material.
Except apparently Hannibal's not even in this. Like they can't, they don't have the rights to Hannibal.
Yeah, it's just about Clarice, which apparently like there's the weird rights things, like they can't use Clarice and Hannibal because of like this whole rights thing. And yeah, I guess it's the same thing the other way around, but it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, so like they weren't able to use, for Hannibal, they weren't able to use Clarice and they weren't able to use Buffalo Bill or, you know, any characters introduced in that book. And then here we have it the other way around. I think this one's going to suffer much more so from that. I mean, regardless of it suffering because it doesn't have Brian Fuller or anybody interesting attached running it, but much, besides that, it's going to suffer more than Hannibal suffered with the lack of Silence of the Lambs. It's going to suffer without Hannibal. But not just Hannibal, but I mean like Jack Crawford, like all these like characters they can't have, like all these characters that are like essential to the story are like, you know, they don't have the
come to the show like wanting to see Hannibal Lecter. He's not going to be there. Did they
really going to have
think,
to create some parallel to him, you know?
Do they really think like Clarice Starling's like such a like a headliner character to like
they're gonna make a character named Hector Lannibal.
Right. At least they can use Buffalo Bill, I suppose. I don't know.
They have Buffalo Bill. They're gonna try to like expand the Clarice Buffalo Bill relationship beyond just
yeah, right. Well, this is not what this podcast is about.
But it might be a topic that we address on our next podcast. Not next week's, meaning our next podcast after the weekly set. Just because I think it is an interesting topic to explore.
Anyway, I'm going to give my quick opinion on season 2. I thought Cobra Kai season 2 was all right. I wasn't like crazy about it. It felt like a midpoint, like the lull between the, you know, like it begins in season 1 and then we just got like the middle point, which is season 2. And then season 3 is sort of like the payoff to the stuff they built up in season 2. But season 2 to me felt like a bit meandering, like nothing really much happening. Like it was just building up to a crescendo.
It did have one thing about season 2 that was better than anything from the other 2 seasons.
What is that?
Stingray.
Yes, yes, Stingray. Oh my God, yes, no Stingray in season 3 either. What the hell?
That actor is like a crazy actor. He was the guy that was in that was it that Clint Eastwood movie about the Atlanta City or the Atlanta Olympics bombing?
Oh yeah.
What's it called? I can't remember the guy. It's the guy's name, but he was like the main actor. So he's like an Oscar-nominated actor.
Oh really? It's like, yeah, so Stingray was out in season 3. Aisha was out in season 3.
Yeah, that was a bad loss too. That got a little bit more attention than Stingray, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, I especially felt that loss because it would have been interesting to see how she reacted to like just how like fucking bloodthirsty Cobra Kai was becoming.
She was one of the more sane members.
She was one of the more sane people. She probably would have been one of the first to defect, like seeing how crazy people were freaking getting in season 3.
They only addressed her in season 3 as like saying that her family had like moved her to a different school or something.
Yeah, following the big fight at the end of season 2.
Yeah. So apparently the showrunners said that they still, this wasn't them getting rid of her. They just didn't have room for her in the story for season 3. That's what they said, at least. I don't know.
Like I said, like she wouldn't really fit in with the current Cobra Kai as like where they moved them to, you know?
Yeah. So they are apparently like interested in possibly bringing her back for season 4 or something. But that could also just be like a Barb situation. Right. Like in Stranger Things, they killed off Barb and then all the fans all of a suddenly for some reason got like super attached to that character.
Yeah.
And so like they had that whole Justice for Barb campaign and they had to like figure out a way to write that into the story for season 2 when they probably wouldn't have addressed it at all otherwise, just because there was so much fan response.
Yeah, like they had him like actually go into the Upside Down to look for Barb.
Yeah.
And surprise, there was no like saving Barb.
Yeah,
it didn't happen.
She was gone, yeah.
Yeah.
So they might have to end up doing something like that, where they end up kind of putting her back in on season 4 and making like a big deal, like a disproportionately big deal about her character based on fan response.
Right. I just thought that's kind of because I forgot like halfway through season, I forgot about the line they said in like the first episode, and I was kind of like going, you know what, where the hell is Aisha? I was like, what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That was a problem.
Other than that, like, I thought it was like I thought it was a solid season. I thought like it was a good escalation of what was happening, you know. They really like...
You're talking about season 3 now or season 2?
No, I'm on season 3. We're on season 3.
We're playing a little loose, which is fine, but I'm losing track a little.
Okay, yeah, don't lose track. I mean, I just want to touch a little bit on season 2 because it connects this, and we didn't discuss that on the podcast previously.
Yeah, I'd completely forgot. I thought we had, so like I wasn't prepared.
Yeah. And I had just recently got through season 2, so it's still fresh in my mind as well.
Yeah. So, season 3, the big thing, of course, that happened at the end of season 2 that was like the setup for season 3 was there was a huge brawl at the school, and it ended... A
brawl to end them all.
It ended with Miguel, who's kind of like, of the kids, he's kind of the main character of the kids, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say Miguel's the main character. He's also like, I would also say like, of the kids, he's my favorite character, because
it's between him and Amanda as far as being like the central characters.
Yeah. He's my favorite character because he's like the most like down to earth and relatable, I think, for me at least.
Not Stingray.
Oh yes. Stingray's not a kid. Come on.
He's a big kid.
He's a big kid. Yeah.
He was involved in the high school fight.
He was as security. Which was funny.
I love how they addressed that in season 3 too. Like, you know, so-and-so, you know, nicknamed Stingray, was not employed at the school.
Yeah, was not employed at the school at this time. It's like, shut up. You were like standing next to him as he was doing that. So try to like weasel out of accountability for that, like after the fact.
Well, I mean, he hadn't been hired yet. He was literally interviewing for a job.
The principal stood by and let him do it.
Yeah. I'm not defending the principal. I'm just saying, technically, like, Stingray was not employed yet.
Technically, he was not employed. Right.
Yeah, man. But, so that fight ended with Miguel's character getting knocked off of a stair rail, landing on a stair rail on his back.
I want to say by Robbie Keane.
Yes.
That's important.
By Robbie Keane, who is, of course, the son of Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso's student.
Who's also like a giant idiot.
Yeah.
He's probably like the character like I like the least in this show. Cause he's like, cause like, they went to such lengths to make him like so empathetic and stuff. Like you want to like feel sorry, but I always thought, man, this kid's like an idiot. Like he always has like a stupid, goofy smile too. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah, and he kind of like ruined any pathway to actually making him interesting, I think, this season. Yeah. By just having him just be completely reactionary in like the worst way possible.
Yeah, just like taking words like every time like you know, like Johnny or like Daniel like be like, I want to help you. It's like, no, F you. It's like, but I want to help you. No, F you. I'm part of Cobra Kai now. F you.
He finally re-encounters Miguel and he's like, F you, instead of like, oh, sorry for paralyzing you.
Yeah, sorry. I love like how at like 0 point Robbie even like owns up to that, you know, like he takes like zero response, like he just gets mad, like he gets like sent to jail. It's like, what do you think happens if you like, you know, like almost like permanently paralyze a kid and send him into a coma? You think that you don't deserve any jail time?
Yeah, you think you don't deserve anything for that, you know, for acting irresponsibly after like the guy had stopped fighting. So it wasn't like just purely an accident. The guy had already stopped fighting.
Right, he had already stopped fighting. He had ended it, and he's like, oh, that's a good opportunity to almost kill a kid. And he gets mad that, you know, like he gets ratted out to the police by Daniel. And it's like Daniel's like suddenly like the bad guy for that. It's like, What the hell?
His story in the series is like the soul that Daniel and Johnny are like fighting over, basically.
Yeah.
And then they brought in, the true dark character with Kreese.
Yeah.
The true irredeemable bad guy.
So basically, like Robbie's story is like Anakin Skywalker, and it's like the exact same thing. Like you got the good guy, like Daniel and
so
Johnny.
You said I was the chosen one.
You said I was the chosen one. Yeah, and then you got Kreese over there. He's Palpatine. He's trying to corrupt them, and then he goes over to Kreese's side, like especially at the end, like in the last episode of season 3, where he turns on his dad, and he's like, you're weak. You show mercy. You're weak. No mercy. It's like, okay, Anakin Skywalker, you can stop.
So, I mean, we know that that's what they're gonna be pushing for in the next season, is like the redemption arc for him or something, I
don't know if that's gonna come next season. It might come season 6, because I think what they want to do first is next season. I already mentioned this. Next season's gonna be the second big All Valley tournament in the series. That's going to be what it heads up to. And we know from season 1, it ended with Miguel beating Robbie, essentially like playing dirty, like cheating essentially. But Miguel still won. Mm-hmm. And so I already know this. Like season 4 is going to the last episode or so is going to be the rematch between Miguel and Robbie at the All Valley. And my guess is, since they had Miguel win the first time around, Robbie is going to take it for Cobra Kai in the rematch. I think that would start Robbie's redemption arc in season 5. Because
I agree with you to some extent. I'm not sure if it's going to end with Robbie winning, though.
We'll see.
Because I think they did the counterpoint to Miguel winning with Robbie winning by having Robbie paralyze Miguel. That was like a dark victory.
Oh yeah. That's
so. I think it's going to sway back the other way again with Miguel beating Robbie this time, not cheating.
Right.
And it's going to be very reminiscent of the end of the Karate Kid.
Right.
With like that creating a turn in the character. Because remember, the Karate Kid ended with Daniel won and Johnny stood up for Daniel at the end, after he beat him, after he came around.
Yeah, he came around.
So I think they're going to do something along those lines. But who knows? They could do something different. And then they'll really start his redemption arc or something. I just think next season's going to be setting up his redemption arc, not necessarily paying it off.
Yeah, I think, I can agree with that. I think next season's going to set up the Robbie redemption arc. Speaking of redemption arc, man, Hawk had a weird, sudden, non-redemption arc. Cause there wasn't an arc there.
He had a redemption burp.
Yeah, redemption burp.
He's all, what's this welling up inside my chest? It's redemption.
Yeah. Because in the last episode, so last episode, there's the Cobra Kai attack, the two dojos, Johnny and I can't think. Johnny Lawrence's Eagle Fang Karate is what it's called. Which, by the way, is
the
hilarious.
most hilarious thing since Stingray.
Yes. So Eagle Fang Karate and Daniel's Miyagi-Do, the kids, the adults aren't involved. The kids are coming together to try and form an alliance. And then that's when the Cobra Kai dojo attacks. And
they should all be arrested. They literally broke and entered into the house and assaulted.
Yeah.
Inside their own house, uninvited. So it's they should totally be arrested.
Apparently,
and it's unrealistic that Daniel having a house that big and stuff doesn't have security systems where they would have surveillance video.
People apparently can just walk into Daniel's house at any time. When Daniel's daughter is hanging out with Miguel and Robbie just walks in on them kissing.
Well, that wasn't his house.
Nowhere.
That was at the Miyagi-Do thing, right?
I assume Miyagi-Do was on his property this whole time, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's not. It's They covered that in season 2. I think they showed that was a different property or something.
Oh, okay.
Because that's the actual place that Miyagi had,
Right.
Yeah.
But apparently that's open to anyone to wander into,
all of Daniel's properties are his car dealership. It's all just open. Daniel doesn't believe in walls.
He doesn't believe in security.
He doesn't believe in, separating the classes. So Eli Hawk's redemption arc, or redemption burp, as I said. They've been hinting at it through the season. They've been having him continue to be a jackass, continue to be like an evil jackass, but then occasionally having moments where you could see him like internally struggling with it.
Right. Moments where he starts questioning things.
Like, should I break my former best friend's arm? Yes, I should.
Yes, I should. No mercy, damn it. So
they're gonna punch my friend that I broke the arm of? I can't let that happen.
I can't. Yeah, exactly. He sees like the carnage going on around him, and he like just has like this moment of clarity, and he snaps, and then he just goes up to like his former friend, and he's like, "Hey, I'm the good guy now," and they're like, "Okay."
Yeah. They ended up transitioning his role of like the big bad of Cobra Kai over to Tori Nichols.
Yeah, Tori is another like stupid character.
They tried to garner sympathy for her because of her situation with her mother, but then the way she acts is like ridiculous, Yeah,
the way she acts is ridiculous. She's like, she's like a rivalry with Daniel's like daughter. She's like, "Oh, I hate you." And it's like, and she's doing like all this shit. Like, for one thing, I believe she's on probation.
Yeah.
And she's trying to take care of her mother who's sick. So I'm sure like doing all this illegal shit is like really helping. That's like super helping her mother out by like doing all this illegal shit and putting herself in danger of like violating her probation. Well, she is violating her probation and getting thrown in jail. Like super smart, Tori. All over like some stupid like fucking rivalry just like over boys and shit. It's like, it's really dumb.
Yeah. That's the thing about Cobra Kai, I think, that you could say in general, is that in many ways, it's not a great show. It's just really fun to watch.
It's a fun show. And the reason why is the tone. It nails it. It doesn't take itself seriously. When it was first like announced, it was described as a comedy. It's half drama, half comedy. They really like break up a lot of the dramatic moments with like a lot of comedic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had like, again, Stingray was just there to inject comic relief into all these dramatic moments. And the best example of that was at the end of season 2 with the big school brawl. You have that. That's a huge dramatic moment, huge plot moment. But then you have Stingray walking out there, like beating out kicking kids, that's the comedy. That's the levity injected into that moment.
Yeah. Stingray for season 4. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Stingray back. Justice for Stingray.
So it works, It also works that, obviously the actors are really good. This wouldn't have worked so well if William Zabka wasn't like so endearing.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah.
He's so good at just being just so stupid.
Yeah.
Kinda, like lovably stupid, but with an edge as well.
Yeah, with an edge as well. Like every scene, like he steals every scene he's in. And I love the fact that they decide to portray Johnny Lawrence as like somebody who's like perpetually stuck in the 80s. Like to the point where like he doesn't even know how to use a computer because like
hash brown. and says hash brown instead of hashtag.
Yeah, hash browns. Because apparently like anything after 1989, it's like he locked himself in a time capsule for 30 years.
When Daniel kicked him in the head, it like the kick lodged him in temporal space.
Yeah. Like his idea, like, he takes Miguel to a Dee Snider concert because of course, like 80s hair metal music. I mean, of course, that's the only thing he listens to. Yeah. That's the character.
What was great was that after all of that, he went on Facebook and got like the friend request accepted by Allie, who reappeared from the original Karate Kid movie in this season. And when he got the Facebook response to her and he started sending like a message to her, and it was like a fucking novel.
Yes.
It was super long. And even before Miguel said anything about it, I was just cracking up as he just kept writing and writing.
He just kept writing.
Like, what are you doing, man?
I loved like Miguel giving him dating advice, like, "Oh no, you can't send that." I love it because like he ends up saying, not much, you. And then it's like a day later or something, and he's staring at it with no reply. He's like, how long do these Facebook messages take? You know, Allie's in Colorado, I'm in LA, so I'm guessing it's a couple of days, right? And he's
yeah, somebody literally like prints it out and gets on horseback and takes it.
I love Miguel's reaction. He's just like, it's instantaneous.
That's the real heart of the show, is the relationship. It's not the divide between Daniel and Johnny or anything. It's the relationship between Johnny and Miguel.
Yes, Johnny and Miguel is like the heart of the series, I think. I think like the entire series could just be Johnny and Miguel, and I would watch it because they're so great together. And I also loved like the character arc this season of like Johnny basically picking Miguel up, sometimes literally, and getting, you know, basically helping Miguel to like walk again and getting him fully like recovered, you know, and that journey. And through like doing that, like Johnny realizes that his calling is to be a sensei, you know, because like there's season 2, Johnny had like given up on that. Johnny was like back to, you know, just being lost. And angry, and he got his sense of purpose back, and that was like so great to see.
Yeah, definitely. You know what's crazy?
What?
Do you know how old Ralph Macchio is?
He has to be like in his late 40s, maybe.
No,
50s. He was a teenager in like 1983, so
he's 59.
Holy shit!
He's 4 years older than Zabka.
How old was he when he made the Karate Kid?
He was like in his early 20s, I think, when he made the first Karate Kid.
Damn, he's like as old as my parents.
Yeah, seriously. And William Zabka is only like 4 years behind. Wow. He's in his mid-50s.
So they were the classic, they were doing classic 20-somethings playing teenagers.
See, I wonder now, like, I'll have to look this up. How old was Miyagi in the first Karate Kid? How old was Pat?
When was he
Pat
born?
Morita was born 1932. And so the first Karate Kid was...
Karate Kid was 1984.
84. So
according to this.
So that would be, he would be 52? Yeah, he would be 52 in the Karate Kid. So Daniel is older than Miyagi.
Well, Daniel,
right?
Daniel has a line in season 3 where he says, you know, I'm as old now as Miyagi was when he started teaching me.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
He's actually older.
Yeah, he's actually older. Yeah. Pat Morita was like actually like a comedian.
Yeah, and he was in Happy Days.
Yeah, he was in Happy Days. And despite stereotypes, Pat Morita did not know any karate. So in real life,
he was also born in America.
Yeah, he was also an American. So yeah.
Yeah, born American, so no accent.
Apparently, like, they weren't even looking at Pat Morita for the role at the beginning. They were talking about, like, casting, you know, like, Toshiro Mifune.
Yeah, I heard about that. Anybody who doesn't know, Toshiro Mifune was, like, the actor of choice for Kurosawa. Like, how Rob De Niro is for, like, Martin Scorsese, Mifune was for Kurosawa.
Right.
So, if you watch an old Kurosawa film, there's a really good chance Mifune's in it.
Right.
Probably in the lead, but if not in the lead, he's one of them. You know, he's in the Seven Samurai. He's not the lead in the Seven Samurai, but he's in it. You know,
that would have been interesting. Yeah.
Hey, Mifune was great, man. Like, he was really good. So, like, he's quite a bit older, I think, than Pat Morita was, though. So
right, and they also said the main problem was he didn't speak English, so they didn't know what to do with that. So
yeah, that would have been a problem.
Yeah.
Although, like, you know, Miyagi, the character, didn't speak that well. Like, he kind of had trouble getting his points across, you know?
Right, exactly.
But yeah, that would have been an interesting change. I think it would have taken away some of the comic leanings too.
Right. Because I think Pat Morita, you know, having the sensibilities of a comedian, was able to nail like the character's sense of humor.
Yeah. Mifune could do comedy too.
Right.
You know, he often was like his character in Seventh Samurai was largely comic relief.
Oh, okay.
he kind of held his sword weird. He was like the brash young one of the group of the Seven Samurai that was like, a little bit prone to violence, not as much into like honor and stuff. And so they really played up his brashness. And so he was really good at that kind of stuff too. So he could have, used that as influence into his comedy, but it wouldn't have been the same as like, Pat Morita like honking Kreese's nose or something,
Right, exactly.
But yeah, man. So speaking of Kreese, this season, we got to see a bit of Kreese's backstory that I think it was set up like it was trying to humanize him, which was like, why are you trying to humanize Kreese?
Oh.
He's had more than enough years to be humanized, and he's clearly gone the opposite route,
Yeah, he's clearly like, so I thought it was interesting when they first introduced Kreese in the series. I thought,
by the way, before we start, just the actor who plays Kreese as a kid, and that like as the young Kreese in this is actually the actor's son.
Young Kreese coming to NBC. Yeah, that's interesting. But when they first introduced the character, I wondered what they were going to do with him. I wondered if like it was going to be like if he was going to be like back to just being Kreese, or if they were going to try to humanize him the same way they did Johnny. There was a little bit of that in season 2.
Well, they were like implying that that's what it was, but it was never actual. Like it was a lie.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And then, but this season it's full on back to, Karate Kid, John Kreese, back to his, like, his old ways. He takes over, Cobra Kai. That happened last season, I believe. And then he takes over and, this season he just leads the entire group of kids down a very dark path.
Yeah, it's like crazy how he is able to manipulate like the system.
Right.
Like, Daniel's wife like slaps him and then he gets a restraining order on her before she can get one on him,
Right.
And they're like, oh, he's like a war veteran? You should really leave this man alone. He's a hero and stuff. And it's like...
It's like, oh, you hit him? You assaulted him? Well, no wonder, Yeah.
He's a Vietnam War veteran, Like, they did this whole backstory on him, though, to like humanize him, to show kind of like his roots and how he got involved and how Cobra Kai started and his time in Vietnam and everything like that. Surprisingly low budget stuff with the Vietnam stuff. It felt like very much like they were filming in someone's backyard or something.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's one thing, like, this show is not big budget. They're not throwing, Disney plus Mandalorian money at this show.
They did film the Okinawa stuff in Okinawa, though.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Which is interesting because Karate Kid 2 was not filmed in Okinawa.
No, it was not. Very famously not filmed in Okinawa.
So it's really funny that they actually went there. I turned, because I was watching it with my mom, and I turned to her and I said, what's really interesting here is that they did not film Karate 2 in Okinawa, but they did film these scenes in Okinawa, and they can get away with it because it's been so many years, and the whole point was like Daniel reacting to, this isn't the Okinawa I remember.
Right, yeah.
And
I
so
love
like,
Daniel,
this is the actual Okinawa.
This is the actual Okinawa. I like Daniel, like realizing like the village where Miyagi grew up is now like a shopping center.
Yeah.
I like the Chosen. How awkward that was. Chosen.
Again, like Pat Morita, the actor who played Chosen, is actually an American citizen, born in America, lives in, I think, Oregon or Washington or something. Like they didn't film Karate Kid 2 in Okinawa, so it was all like American actors and stuff,
Right.
But it's just funny, like so we were talking about with budget, like having it low budget, but they actually did film out in Okinawa for those scenes, which is kind of crazy. It's like weird budget expenses, Yeah,
exactly. But it was cool to see those characters. It's cool to see, the characters from, Karate Kid Part 2 show up. They're really going in on all the references to the previous movies. That's another thing the show does, like, the show intersperses, like, clips from the films into certain scenes, like, throughout the series.
Mm. And we're having a very loose conversation.
Well, that's fine.
That's fine, yeah. I want to get back, though, because I lost track where we were talking about John Kreese's setup as like a redemption storyline. And we didn't get to like how that played out.
Oh, is John Kreese on a redemption storyline? I don't think so.
No, his flashbacks were set up as if they were trying to redeem his character.
Oh,
as if they're trying to like show that he's a sympathetic character. And what it shows is that at one point he was a sympathetic character, like way back in like the 60s.
I think the point of those scenes was to show like how John Kreese became John Kreese, not to necessarily paint him as a sympathetic character, but to explain.
Well, that's exactly, but like it was initially set up to look like it was going to be, because they also did other things like him kind of like saving Tori and stuff, you know? So they were doing things to like show like maybe there's a method to what he
even that like saving Tori, he was doing that for his own selfish purpose.
Oh yeah. But they were setting it up like maybe there was more to him. Right. And then they ended that in the redemption story when he killed his commander.
Right.
Like he didn't need to, and he decided to anyway.
He decided to do it. That's him becoming full John Kreese, although that guy was an asshole. I mean,
yeah, he was an asshole, but there was no reason to kill him. Like, you know,
right.
He didn't, like, that guy didn't kill John Kreese's, like, girlfriend, you know? He just reported the news in a very cruel way, and then Kreese killed him for that.
He pissed him off.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I just thought that was one kind of interesting thing in this season, is the way they set that up. Because they set it up like they were doing, maybe not a redemption of him, but maybe like an explanation of why he is the way he is, and like a way of saying, like, maybe there is a method to his madness. Maybe like our perception of him being evil isn't 100% true. And then they ended it by going, no, he's just selfish and opportunistic. And anything that was set up to look like he was, you know, actually doing something decent was just something for his benefit. You know, it was just him manipulating a system.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. You talked about Chosen before. It was interesting having, you know, Chosen be like a source of new knowledge for Miyagi-Do karate and training Daniel, getting a chance to just basically beat up Daniel for a while. You could tell he enjoyed that.
yeah, you could tell, definitely. Like, I love it too, because Chosen does like the honk thing to Daniel.
That must actually be like a secret Miyagi-Do karate move.
It is.
But he teaches Daniel like a new type of a pressure point move or something to, like, you know, make somebody's limbs go numb or be ineffective, which was like a really big setup and a kind of minor payoff, I think. Like, I kind of expected that to be a more of a significant payoff, you know, than what they ended up doing with that.
Yeah, they used it at like the very end of the last episode.
In a fight that doesn't really end with much consequence.
It doesn't. It was cool though. It was cool to see Johnny and Daniel beat up Kreese. Gotta be honest. Like, as far as fan service goes, that episode delivered. That was a long time coming. But
yeah. I agree with that. I'm just saying, like, the build up to the Daniel's new special move ended up being like kind of no consequence, you know?
Right. Yeah, because they had Daniel like like Kreese was overpowering him, and then Daniel like remembered like, oh, this new stuff I learned in Okinawa from Chosen, and then he did it. And it's like, yeah, that was the build up to that. Like, as soon as he learned that stuff, I knew like it was going to be put into play at some point.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be put into play in a more consequential way, though, you know?
No.
It's not that it didn't have consequence in the fight, it's that the fight itself didn't have much consequence.
No, because Kreese just gets up and says, oh, let's sell this at the tournament then.
Yeah, like, it's more like you'd kind of expect that to have come in play at the tournament, you know?
Right.
And instead, we got it coming into play here, so...
Right. I understand.
That's what I mean by that. But I'm trying to think, what other kind of storylines do we need to cover? I
mean, there was the same storyline where she was obviously like had PTSD from her fight with Tori in the school brawl, and she was dealing with that. And that comes to a head in the last episode where like Tori's back and she's like attacking her.
I think they kind of overplayed the PTSD angle for Sam.
Yeah. like Daniel has to like give her like a speech in the middle of the season where he talks about like the tournament in I believe Karate Kid Part 3.
Yes, it was the Karate Kid 3 tournament.
And where he said like he had to like overcome his fear. And like they have that moment where Tori's attacking her, where like she remembers what Daniel said to her earlier, and she gets up and she fights Tori off.
Yeah.
So that was the payoff to that.
I guess we could just go into kind of the setup for season 4.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think there's not much more. So the big thing that happens as setup for season 4 now is, of course, Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang are working together.
Yeah, they're working together.
Cobra Kai is now going to marshal its force as the big bad, and
Robbie turned heel. Robbie's going to be obviously the star fighter for Cobra Kai now.
Mm-hmm. And Kreese makes a phone call to an old friend, and an old friend from the military days in Vietnam, who we know, without confirmation, but with pretty much absolute certainty, is Terry Silver.
Yes. Yeah, the asshole from Karate Kid Part 3.
Yes. He's the guy that owns Cobra Kai, actually.
Right.
So he's the guy, he set up Cobra Kai as like a gift for John Kreese, because he's like, I guess they wanted to make him like an uber villain in Karate Kid 3, so he like dumps toxic waste or something.
Right.
That's like his career.
He becomes like he's a Captain Planet villain.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's just funny.
So, I just thought like they're bringing all these characters back. I only question I always say it's only a matter of time before they bring Terry Silver back. Obviously.
Yeah. So, that'll be interesting to see him kind of, jump back in, it'll be interesting to have him on the show. But, that's kind of the big setup for.
And obviously the big setup is the new tournament. So.
Yes. They didn't have a tournament this year.
No.
And so they're going to do it on the next season.
Well, they didn't have a tournament for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's true.
So
they didn't have it in season 2 either. So yeah, they're going to jump back into that. And then they're setting up parallels to Karate Kid 3, which, as we've, talked about, Karate Kid 1 had the tournament. Karate Kid 2 was in Okinawa, had like a fight to the death scene instead. And Karate Kid 3 brought back the tournament. Well, now we're bringing in all these elements from Karate Kid 3 again.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a tournament again. So that's like, it kind of matches up. The question is the next season after that, are they going to bring back, what's her name? Karate Kid 4, they're going to bring back that girl.
Oh, yeah. Are they going to acknowledge the next Karate Kid? Like this happened, like none of the characters in the show have like any connection to like that character whatsoever. So that would
Hilary Swank. That's who it is.
Yeah, Hilary Swank. I don't even know how that would work. It's like there's like no connection other than Mr. Miyagi. I don't think, and unless they pull some bullshit where like Daniel comes back and says, "Oh yeah, Mr. Miyagi told me about this one time he took a trip and he completely trained this girl."
Which, think about this show, like that actually I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They're not exactly subtle or nuanced with the way they handle things,
True.
So apparently they're going to do that, but they're not going to bring back, Jaden Smith.
Oh, yeah. Jaden Smith.
They're not going to have Jackie Chan on and have Jaden Smith show up.
They'll be like, hi, I'm the Karate Kid, who lives in China.
Which is, there's a funny story about that because, Will Smith is listed as a producer on Cobra Kai?
I did not realize Will Smith was involved.
Apparently he has some ownership of the rights.
Really?
From when he did the remake. So in order to do Cobra Kai, they had to go through Will Smith. They had to get his approval on it or something, even though it has nothing to do with his iteration of it.
Right.
So the creators of the show have said that they don't consider the Karate Kid, with Jaden Smith to be canon for the Karate Kid universe.
It should not be canon exactly. It should not.
Yeah.
No shade on that film. It's just, it's a remake. It has a completely different, cast of characters, basically taking on the same roles.
Yeah.
It would just be weird.
Yeah. They do say, though, that the next Karate Kid is part of the canon.
Okay. So they are including that.
So yeah. So whether or not they bring, Hilary Swank on, to the show
I just
or not.
don't
She
know
just
what-
had a show on Netflix that was canceled, so.
I just don't know, like, what purpose it would serve, because there's literally no connection there to the characters. Like, the most they could say is, like, Daniel say, "Oh, I've heard about you," and it's like, okay. It's just like...
Maybe like, it'll get to like,
it wouldn't be like, it's not a moment like when, Allie shows back up,
No, but what they could have done is like, Daniel like is taking Miyagi-Do kind of in the wrong direction because he's too caught up in his rivalry, which is kind of like too late now based on what they did in season 3 at the end. But if they had done it, a way they could have done it is that way, like where they could have gone like, oh, he's kind of taking it in the wrong direction, and he runs into her, and she's Miyagi-Do trained as well, and so she has something to say about the direction he's taking it in.
Right.
Like, oh, you're betraying Miyagi's legacy by doing this. You need to let that go or something. But they kind of did that with Chosen instead.
Yeah, but to be honest, I think it's better that they did that with Chosen. It's
because it gives Chosen a redemption,
Yeah, it gives Chosen a redemption. And it was a cool episode too.
I just love the way Chosen was like Daniel would be like he's all, you want a drink? And Daniel's like, oh, I can get it. He's like, no!
No!
Like he's being like really angry and confrontational about being the one that's helping. Which I thought was pretty funny. They kind of played Chosen in an interesting way, making him kind of an asshole, but at the same time, like, showing that he had redemption, But that's pretty much it. So I guess we could end off the podcast on that note.
Yeah, that's a good place to end it.
Very, very loose discussion. We kind of all over the place. But, that's just our kind of honest feelings about season 3 and where we think things are going.
I'm going to be honest, I like the loosey-goosey discussions. I feel like it feels more natural than to have to, like, just come up with a list of everything in order or just do a plot breakdown.
I think a balance is good. I think this might have gone a little too far in the loosey-goosey direction.
I'm going to say I really enjoyed this conversation.
It was a fun conversation.
It was.
So, next week we're going to be discussing WandaVision. We're going to be discussing the first 3 episodes of WandaVision. We had said before 2, but that's just because we didn't know that they were putting the first 2 episodes at once.
I was surprised when I saw that. I was like, oh, there's 2. Okay. I guess I'm in for an hour of this.
Yeah. So we'll discuss the first 3 episodes of WandaVision, which both of us have already watched the first 2.
Assuming they don't upload like 2 more on Friday.
Yeah. We'll be up to date. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, we'll be up to date.
We'll talk about WandaVision up to date. That's it for the week. Here's what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Here's what's up on the horizon. We're recording this on Monday, January 18th. Today, 911 Lone Star both returned to Fox, or Lone Star I think debuted on Fox this time, and All American returned to the CW. Tomorrow, Tuesday, January 19th, FBI Most Wanted returns to CBS, as does NCIS. On Wednesday, January 20th, CB Strike Lethal White comes to HBO. That was originally a Cinemax series. That's the one by J.K. Rowling wrote the books for, but under like a pen name. So, some controversy there. Nancy Drew comes to the CW. Riverdale returns to the CW. And Daughter from Another Mother comes to Netflix. On Thursday, January 21st, Legacies returns to the CW. Walker debuts on the CW. That's the Walker Texas Ranger remake with Jared Padalecki from Supernatural. Grownish comes to Freeform, or returns. Gomorrah comes to HBO Max. Perfect Life to HBO Max, and Call My Agent to Netflix. On Friday, January 22nd, The Sister comes to Hulu. Three Caminos to Amazon Prime. The Blacklist to NBC. Losing Alice to Apple TV+. Fate, the Winx Saga, which Will and I are both very excited for, comes to Netflix. And on Sunday, January 24th, Charmed returns on the CW. Bridge and Tunnel to Epix. Euphoria, Fuck Anyone Who's Not a Sea Blob, which is a special episode, comes to HBO. Monday, January 25th, Snowpiercer to TNT. Tuesday, January 26th, Big Sky returns to ABC. And Blackish returns to ABC, and Mixed Dish starts on ABC as well. On Wednesday, January 27th, Resident Alien comes to Sci-Fi. Do you know about this at all, Will?
Nope.
You might like this. Resident Alien, it's God, what's his name? I can't even think of his name. Wash from Firefly, the pilot from Firefly.
Right.
And he's like an alien on Earth who's like supposed to basically like destroy mankind, but ends up like, not knowing whether he should or not.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a little awkward comedy thing. Awkward sci-fi comedy. So that could be interesting. For Life comes to ABC on that day as well. On Sunday, January 31st, the Long Song miniseries comes to PBS. And on Monday, February 1st, the Investigation miniseries comes to HBO. That's it. That's what's up on the horizon. As I said, next week, WandaVision. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will. He is at Voxel Hero. You can check out our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, as well as our site, thetotalscreen.com. You can subscribe to the podcast through any major podcast client like iTunes or Pocket Cast, and the entire backlog of our podcast is available on our YouTube channel. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Good night.
Good night.
If you would like to reach out to us and make a comment, send an email to contact@thetotalscreen.com. Stay tuned to The Total Screen for the very best in genre